Now I want to take you back to this Red Sea crossing. I want to take you between the gorges at Pi Hakerot, between the gorges. At this very location, at the beach at Nueva, there just happens to be an underwater land bridge at this point. It goes off at about 6 degrees, levels off, and comes back at 6 degrees on the other side. On each side of this land bridge, it drops off 5,000 feet right straight down to the bottom of the Great Rift. This one place, there is an underwater land bridge, and it is right between two pillars that were put there by Solomon 3,000 years ago, commemorating the crossing of the Red Sea on dry ground. Across this body of water, right here, across that underwater land bridge, Pharaoh's chariots and army have been found, encrusted in coral, strewn for over 1.5 miles. This particular artifact was taken out of the Red Sea. It was taken to Cairo, Egypt, to the Department of Antiquities, where it was then assembled on an 8-foot table. The director of the Department of Antiquities came in, and as he approached the table, he blurted out, "That's 18th dynasty." And they asked him, "Well, how do you know? Looking at this piece of coral so quickly, how do you know?" He said, "This is an 18th dynasty chariot wheel. It's a 6-spoke chariot wheel, just like the chariot wheels found in King Tutankhamun's tomb. It is the same diameter. It is the same 6-spoke. And as we see in Heliopolis, in the 18th dynasty, it shows the 6-spoke chariot wheel. He knew exactly what it was, and so that chariot wheel is now buried in the Department of Antiquities. Don't expect that you'll ever see it in the light of day, because they still, most of them, don't want to admit that Israel was ever in Egypt. This particular artifact was found after Israel gave back the Sinai Peninsula. This is a gold 4-spoke chariot wheel. This particular gold 4-spoke chariot wheel has only coral in the middle of it. Why? Coral has a very unique property. It does not grow on sand, silt, gold, or silver. But the coral attached itself to the metal hub and held down the gold veneer after the wheel had long disappeared. There is only one chariot that you see in Egypt that is depicted with this 4-spoke chariot wheel. The chariot of Pharaoh. And to have the photograph of the wheel of Pharaoh's chariot on the bottom of the Red Sea, the Almighty has indeed sanctified himself by Pharaoh. There are so many evidences that we could show you, over 200 hours of video footage of Mount Sinai, and so we've selected just a few to show to you in this particular film. And one of those that I feel is very important is this rock that is sitting on top of a stone mountain. This rock is 4.5 stories tall. And as you can see, it is split right down the middle, and you can see where water has cut channels and has rounded out all of the stones going down both sides of this split rock. And now Penny is going to take us into the middle of that split rock and tell us the story of how they found the split rock that Moses struck with his staff and outpoured millions of gallons of water for the entire year to feed the children of Israel and all their flocks. One of the most exciting finds at Mount Sinai is concerning the petroglyphs. Of course, we saw the petroglyphs of the cow and bull gods, Apis and Hathor, and there are also images of the ibex long-horned ram. But there are relatively few of those, but there are thousands upon thousands of the imprint of sandaled feet, petroglyphs of sandaled feet all over the land of Midian, all over Saudi Arabia. Thousands and thousands. Now, we have been out into the desert, out in the area of Har Karkum, where the Israelites camped, where they made 40,000 petroglyphs at least. And using the same method, we attempted to make petroglyphs on our own. And we found that it would take literally hours to make each one of these footprints, which have now lasted over 3,000 years. They are big footprints. There are small footprints. There are intermediate-sized footprints. There are whole families that have done their footprints. What are these footprints doing here? To answer that question, we went to Har Karkum, one of the camping sites of the Israelis during their 40 years of wandering in the wilderness. Har Karkum is a mountain in the Negev desert of southern Israel. You can only get in there by a 4x4. However, we needed to take an entire film crew and all of our equipment, so we took a Ford van, a 15-passenger high top, as well as several shovels, and it took us an entire day to build stone bridges through the wadis to get out to Har Karkum. There we were looking for a particular shot, and just before sundown we found it. Walking 3 miles back to the camp that night, and then making the pre-dawn trek back up there to where we could get a film of the petroglyphs in the foreground and in the background, Har Karkum. And here is where we chose to tell the story of why the Israelites took the time to chisel thousands and thousands and thousands of these petroglyphs of the sandaled feet in stone in Arabia. Har Karkum. This mountaintop in the Negev desert of southern Israel is littered with the charred fragments of an asteroid impact that formed the Ramon crater to our north. When the nation of Israel camped here during their 40 years of wandering in the wilderness, they chiseled more than 40,000 petroglyphs into these burned asteroid fragments. Some of these labor-intensive etchings appear to be little more than the artistic expression of young shepherd boys tending the flock. But this petroglyph of sandaled feet is one of the ancient property markers of the sons of Israel, who were promised by the Almighty, every place that the sole of your foot shall tread, that have I given you as your inheritance, from the river Euphrates to the great river in Egypt. That promise was taken literally. And the Israelites etched the imprint of their sandaled feet into the very stones of the land as they went. Every place that these petroglyphs of sandaled feet are found legally belongs to Israel, including the vast oil field of Midian in Saudi Arabia, where thousands of these footprints, fixed in stone, record the identity of the true owners of the land. I'm Michael Rood. Prepare for a rude awakening.